Are the 10 seconds over? Question mark. We're now live. Insane. Hello everyone. I am Cadarev and I will be running Tomb Raider Underworld, and with me I have a way better runner called Toxic_TT. Hi Toxic.
Wow. Hello everyone.
He runs glitchless, so he actually knows how long stuff takes. I don't run glitchless, so I don't even see most of the game. But more about that soon. So yeah, timer starts once we get control of Alara. So I'll just give you a pseudo countdown and hope I somewhat nail it. But that is Tomb Raider Underworld, which is the 9th entry in the main series. And explosions. 3, 2, 1, and go. So yeah, this is Croft Manor, and as you can see, it's pretty hot in here. So our task is to get out of here. But yeah, so this, as you can see from the estimate, this run is rather short, which the main reason for that is that in this prologue level we can skip half of the run, or half of the playthrough rather.
Yeah.
Which is because the swan dive in this game is very broken. As you can see, we already cleared 2 obstacles with it that should have required some kind of puzzle solving, but forget about that. Basically, what they did is they have 2 level end triggers in this level. You're not supposed to reach the second one yet, but with the swan dive around this corner, we can actually reach it. Like that. So this ledge you're not supposed to reach. You're supposed to go down to the floor, which would trigger a cutscene bringing you to the first level, which is Mediterranean Sea. But instead we go here, which will bring us to the 4th level, Southern Mexico.
Saving us more than half an hour.
Nice. So the reason is that after this prologue you're supposed to have this flashback, which involves 3 levels, Mediterranean Sea, Thailand and England again. So then you would return to this level and would be able to go to the 2nd level exit, but here we are. So that's half an hour saved. Nice.
Insane.
Absolutely insane. Which brings us to the motorbike segment, and motorbike in this game is really cool, isn't it, Toxic?
It's better than that other game.
That is true, but that doesn't make it good. So basically it's pretty, like, you have to really get used to the handling. It's it feels pretty heavy, if is the best way to put it. If you get good movement lines, it's very satisfying, but we never get good movement lines, so it's never satisfying. And hello everyone.
This bike throughout the whole of this chapter and a little bit of next.
So this level is supposed to be semi-open worldish, so you're supposed to solve a bunch of puzzles to open up the entrance to the next sub-level, which you do in glitchless, but we don't do in any percent. So I have no clue how much this saves, but it's a significant amount of time, so I do the skip, or I try to do the skip. And the skip will involve me again using the swan dive to go out of bounds, because there will be 3 statue heads. We can do swan dives to cross gaps, and that will easily bring us out of bounds. Once we're there, we have to go back in bounds in the next level, but the problem is that we would die from the fall damage. To circumvent dying, we will use a grenade that should explode if we are close to it, and that basically resets the fall damage calculation, so that should cushion our fall, ironically.
It's very useful.
Yes, and speaking of grenades, so here I use them. They're sticky grenades, which is also very useful. And
you're skipping a good chunk of this level, and it's really good because you have to fight a lot of mercenaries, or rather running past them, and they are kind of random. Sometimes they can shoot you and you will fall on the ground, so you have to get up, and that loses you a lot of time if you do it normally.
So here are these jumps. And now we're out of bounds. As you can see, this is kind of off limits normally. And here comes the grenade throw. And there, well, you didn't see it, but you heard it probably. The grenade exploded while we were close to it, and with that we were able to survive. Also, we need a motorbike, so here's our motorbike.
very good.
Yes. Also, shoutouts to Plastic Rainbow, who somehow found out that for certain cutscenes, it's actually worth it to quickly pause them, because then you're able to skip them quicker. Somehow that makes sense, I guess. So that's why for some of these cutscenes, I will pause them quickly. But it only is really worth it. Yeah, it's a few seconds, but it's only really worth it for the longer cutscenes. So you can't skip all of the cutscenes immediately. But yeah, anyways, so this is the second part of Southern Mexico. Our goal will be to go into the basement of this level and retrieve Thor's belt, I think. I'm not sure. So like the entire story of this game revolves around northern mythology.
Yeah, it is the belt.
Yeah, okay. See, that's why we have a glitchless runner here. He actually knows.
Oh, the lore.
I wouldn't. Here you can see the amazing aiming system of this game. It's really good, trust me. Definitely Lara always aims where you want her to aim.
Yeah, sometimes she's aiming at enemies who are in the other side of the room instead of two gigantic spiders who are smacking her right now.
And the camera like immediately turns around, so it's really cool. So yeah, our goal is now to go into 4 side chambers to collect some stone plates. We need to insert in this central structure there, and that will open up the basement. And in that basement we should be able to retrieve the belt. But yeah, we can do some skips later on, but like this part is kind of the last stand for the game that we have not broken yet completely. We have actually found a way to skip all of this and retrieve the belt, but we have not found a way yet to exit the level. So this is like Plastic's big project. He has basically succeeded 90% through in skipping or breaking this level as well, but the very last jump we cannot make without the motorbike, but we need to leave the motorbike behind to make it like out of this room without going into the basement. Anyways, so yeah, this is the first chamber. You can see some really cool slowdown and instant camera changes, which is definitely very helpful and not annoying at all. And we collected the first stone plate there, but you may not have seen it because we can actually cancel the pickup animation by crouching. And that will be a theme for a lot of animations and like kind of these flyby cutscenes. When you solve a puzzle and it shows you what happens, you can skip those with the crouch key. However, even though we get control over Lara, the animation still normally plays out that, like the cutscene, for example, would still play out. So we can actually gain control over Lara when we shouldn't. I mean, it's not really too important now, but it will be important later on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the second chamber. We solved it by rolling underneath some obstacles, which is an immense puzzle to solve.
Next one is pretty sketchy. Probably the most sketchy of them all, especially the way Caddy is doing it.
Yeah, so there's a box up there that we can use to block parts of this these squishy plates. And if you want to do it quickly, then you kind of want to drag down the box on your way in, which is a bit sketchy because, as you saw, it was pretty close with those stone plates.
Very close to smashing you with those walls.
Yeah. And that means we have 3 out of the 4 stone plates, and the last room is the one I personally find the most sketchy one, because this will be the fire room, and there are a lot of horizontal bars scattered throughout the room, which we can abuse because with the auto aim, sometimes you can abuse the there you saw it. We abuse the invincibility frames to just jump through the flames. Normally you shouldn't be able to do that. It's like just solid flame wall and you will just take damage. But because of these horizontal bars and the way Lara snaps onto them, we're actually able to jump through the fire.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, now actually that was also pretty good. Why were there only 2 spiders? Oh, there is the third one, never mind. We'll just run it over. Bye.
Wow, really?
Why can't I get spiders like these in my attempts? Wow. So now we have all the 4 stone plates. We will open up the basement. And as we said earlier, in the basement you want to retrieve the belt, but we will not really do that, right, Toxic?
Yeah, we're not gonna go into the last area of this chapter because getting out of there is pretty long, and you don't have to do that in any percent, so we'll just use the delayed swan dive to get over the obstacle and reach the bike again.
Yes, so technically the belt is supposed to give us like superpowers to move heavy objects. But even though we don't get it, we still have those superpowers on next level, so it's all good. But yeah, the Swan Dive, as we mentioned earlier, is very abusable in this game because it extends your jump ranges way past what they thought you could do. So there's an obstacle here that we should only be able to clear with the motorbike up there. You see the slope that we are supposed to jump over. But with a wall jump into a Swan Dive, we can also clear this obstacle. So we are now on the other side without the motorbike. And the only way back, if you would normally do it with the motorbike, is to collect the belt. But since we don't need it, we can do the same thing to get out of there again with a delayed Swan Dive. So this is the key. We need to exit this level. This is the only reason why we go down here.
Yeah, when you're learning the game, this jump might be a little bit tricky because the timing is pretty precise. Like, you can just YOLO it and hope that it will work. You have to delay it as much as you can.
Yeah, that one there. So that's southern Mexico pretty much. Also sorry for not really reacting too much with what's going on in chat, but yeah, it's a pretty short run and there's a lot to talk about. But again, thank you for all the good lucks and hellos, and hello back. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's Mexico pretty much done. Now we just need to escape. There's not too much to it, but the next level will be Jan Mayen Island, which belongs to Norway, but nobody cares. At least when it comes to the extent of this game. But it will have pretty much the trademark skip of this run, which is the Jan Mayen gate skip. But more on that once we're there. Here we need to just raise these remnants of a bridge.
When you're playing glitchless and you're in this area, the game might crash. So that's like 47 minutes into the run on an average pace, and that's really frustrating because you can't just load in back. You have to start over.
That's not the only reason why I don't play glitchless, by the way. So yeah, now this final jump here is the only reason why we have not broken this level yet, because for this you do need the motorbike, and the only way we have found so far to skip the entire basement part is by leaving the motorbike behind. So yeah, that's like the holy grail of Tomb Raider Underworld speedrunning. So yeah, that's that.
Sometimes you may not do this jump, like she will just fall into the abyss, and there's literally no reason for it.
Sometimes also the collision of these blocks that vanish there at the end, they're still there, so she can just like bonk into invisible collision and then die. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Eraser, we call it glitchless for what it's worth.
So again, this is a longer cutscene, so I can pause it to save a few seconds. And now we're in Jan Mayen. So in the first part there is a huge tower that we're supposed to climb and solve some puzzles with. But we will try to not do that, because in any percent we can actually skip the gate that it is supposed to open.
Wow, abandoning the best part? What do you mean?
By bike, because we can also go down here a different way.
Yeah, if you crouch when you're falling down like that after this swan dive off of the ledge, you can cancel all your damage. Pretty good and useful.
So then hopefully there's an artifact in here. Exactly. Sorry, a treasure. So if I pick it up while facing this way, the pickup animation will actually push Lara just far enough so she's out of bounds. And now I need to get back inbounds, but the problem is the gate actually extends out of bounds. So I need to use a swan dive and a grenade to push me back inbounds. So this is a pretty precise trick, so hopefully that goes well. Yep, alright.
Nice.
I pressed the wrong keys, but somehow I was able to recover.
Okay.
Never mind. So yeah, if you don't use a grenade there, you can't do the you can't get back inbounds. So you need to actually jump at the correct time, because it's like the grenades explode after a specific time has passed. So that's pretty intense skip, because if you fail it, you go back 1 minute, since the last checkpoint is at the top of the tower and you have to do the entire thing again. but that went surprisingly well.
Advantage of running glitchless, you would have bike here.
Exactly, so this part you're supposed to have a bike, but you can also do it without a bike, but of course it's slower, but the entire part we skip, by skipping the tower is definitely worth it, so we don't need the bike here. On this bridge, once you're past a certain point, it's supposed to activate these hammers you can see on either side that destroy the bridge. But you can also try to swan dive around that trigger.
Yeah, it saves immense amount of time, because you would have to fight the
there we
Yeti.
go. Also this guy just chills, don't worry.
Nice. And you would have to climb a lot of level collision, and it's very sketchy. If you run glitches, you would have to do a lot of delayed swan dives that sometimes are very inconsistent, so it's really good that in 90% you can skip all that.
Alright, so this is like kind of an intermission level, and then we have the last level already. So if you would do any other category than 90%, after the first level you would also be on like this kind of ship level. It's an exact replica of that level, so you actually have the same level twice, or the same map, more like that. So this is just run to the end. There is really not much else we do.
But we can blame this box for everything.
Yeah, so that box, Lara does not behave too well when it comes to climbing onto that box sometimes. It may have happened that some promising runs have died there, but of course now it didn't. Oh yeah, also regarding movement in this game, so there is a sprinting mechanic and a stamina mechanic, but smart as they were, we have no indicator on how full or depleted our stamina is, except when you're like actually depleted, and then Lara will just be very slow. Yeah. Nice, that guy just blew himself up. Just Underworld things. So yeah, Lara will just stop sprinting and be very slow, so that's when we switch to swan dives, because swan dives are also like the second fast movement option, but otherwise we try to sprint.
Something, a reminder.
Yes. Thank you. Wait, Nightbot didn't work, what the... I mean, what? Yeah, so this is the last level. This is Arctic Sea. Again, a longer cuts at the start, so I can cut it short by pausing. Shadows to plastic again. And then we get dropped into the water. And usually Lara would resurface, and whenever Lara surfaces, she has to like catch her breath and she can't dive again for 2 seconds. But if you already press crouch, which is also the dive button, while the level loads, she will not surface and just immediately dive, so that saves a few seconds. So the gist of this level is that there is this huge gate ahead of us that is locked down with some chains, and you're supposed to open it by making these statues here kind of lift their swords that are nailing down the chain, and for that you need to collect some stone plates.
Yeah, 4 of them.
But we can also not do that and try to skip all of that.
Well, not doing the
intended
most fun of the...
yeah, so if you are on a kind of horizontal pole or bar and you grab the ledge and re-grab it quickly, Lara will slowly move to the right or whatever direction you're facing, and if you do it correctly, she will clip out of bounds. I'll do one re-grab, I guess. Yes. Never mind. Of course, as always, help.
What do you mean? Oh my, it's literally cursed.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that's what was supposed to happen. But don't worry, that exact same thing happened in my PB as well. So now we're out of bounds, and that's the gate we just skipped, so now we're back inbounds. And that pretty much means all we have to do now is swim to the quote-unquote final boss room, but there are no boss battles in this game. Luckily, they actually learned from their previous games. But instead we have kind of a final jumping and movement puzzle thingy that will be a bit more complex.
Yeah, well, we are getting shot by the final boss.
Yeah, the final boss you can't attack. So, yeah, since it's a bit more, like, a few more minutes until we're there, so basically there will be, we need to smash 3 stone plates for the evil central structure to collapse and finish the game. But you can't access them from the get-go, you actually need to unlock them, and to do that you need to move 3 pillars with your Thor superpowers.
Yeah.
And in between that, it has just a lot of jumping and running, but we can take some shortcuts when it comes to the jumping. Hopefully. However, those skips are pretty precise, so maybe we won't. We'll see.
You
so
can
here
also get shot by one of the final bosses, so that's also pretty good.
Yeah, when would that ever happen?
And lose a minute and a half. I don't know if I'm referring to anything.
So you can also see some enemies here. So we now have, you may see it, Thor's hammer Mjolnir, which one-shots every enemy except for the big guys, the thralls. Those take 2 shots, which is also why it's completely irrelevant what weapon you pick after picking it up, because you will use Mjolnir anyways. But you can also just run past the enemies, which is usually faster unless they knock you down, which they didn't so far. Nice. Yeah, you can tell they are very interested in us. Just bye. Up there's some kind of story-relevant character, I think, but I don't know. I never watched this cutscene. And then we are approaching the final boss room. And yeah, go ahead.
Which is almost pretty much the same as in Glitchless, technically, except the first crouch that you do.
Yes. So we do the same thing I did at the start of Yamayen, where I crouch to the bottom of the big hallway. I can do again here to cancel the fall damage. But otherwise it's a lot of precise jumps.
Wait for platform here in the beginning normally, and then jump off of it and then go down. But no, we don't do that in any percent.
So that's the first pillar. We unlock the first stone plate. On to the next one. So this guy can actually be pretty disruptive, so that's why I usually kill him. As you can see, it takes 2 shots with Mjolnir. And those fireballs are courtesy of Natla, which is the final boss that's flying around and you can sometimes see. And yes, if those hit you, it's usually pretty bad, especially if you're mid-jump or mid-wall grapple. But when would that ever happen?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So up next is the first of the 2 skips we can do. So as I mentioned earlier, we can skip flyby cutscenes by pressing the crouch button. But the animation still plays out, so we actually are able to catch an earlier cycle here if we do everything correctly. Let's see. What? Where am I? Oh god, is this again?
Oh my god.
What? Yes, sure, I'll take it. What? So that was the fast cycle. Usually you're supposed to ride in like on the platform around the central structure one time. But since we skipped the cutscene early, we were able to still grab the platform while it was kind of adjusting itself. And that allows us to take the shortcut there. And we will do the same thing again, or we will try to do the same thing on the next or final level.
Here it saves like 15-ish seconds, depending on how quick you were to get on a platform, on open platform, but next one will save, I would say, a good minute, because normally you would have to climb the tower, get an extra cutscene, probably get shot by Natla, and also missed one of the cycles on top of the tower.
Also, there we could have also gotten shot at by Natla.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can get ready on time. It's as soon as I smash the 3rd stone plate, but I don't know if I will get there quickly or not, because the final skip is right before it. But I will obviously announce it. So here, that's the 2nd stone plate, and there's one left, and I need to again do a similar skip I just did before, by catching this one while it's still adjusting itself. Going over here. No, didn't get it. So I think, yeah, that's okay. I can try again.
Oh, the moves though.
I know, right? At least going out in style. Yeah, we spawn right before the platform again, so it's not that big of a deal. Nice, except if she doesn't catch it at all.
Wow. But yeah, you can, like, if you normally do it in Glitchless by climbing the tower, you can also do this strat in glitchless if you don't want to climb the tower, and you can retry this like 6-7 times.
Okay, there we go. So you can get ready on time. It's right now. So nice, except for that final part. Oops. So yeah, that's Tomb Raider Underworld. Somewhat quickly, more quickly than glitchless, I think.
Maybe like 3 times quicker, but
yeah, also one final remark. You may have realized we play in Japanese. Doesn't matter at all for any percent. It's just personal preference, or depending on whether you're a weeb or not. Not that I'm a weeb, but maybe. Yeah, so that's that. Thank you very much for having me. Actually, me and Toxic will have another run tomorrow of
equally a good game.
Yes, so this will be Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, which is even shorter than this run. It will be like 6 minutes. Will be tomorrow in like, I don't know, 16 hours or so. But yeah, if you're interested in Tomb Raider speedruns, there is the Tomb Runner Discord. Just check speedrun.com or message me or any one of us. Thanks again for also reviving this amazing marathon, and have fun with the upcoming runs. And thank you, Toxic, for enriching this run.
You're welcome. Have fun, everyone.
Yes, take care, Bounty. Bye-bye.